As you all see from the title of this video, yes, Iowa State has won the dual portion of the Big 12 schedule, which I can say is impressive to say the least. For a team that was sorta under the radar for the first half of the season, they for sure proved that they deserve to be dual champions. They defeated Oklahoma State, UNI in one of the most exciting duels of the year, and took out a very strong Missouri, which are all top tier opponents within the Big 12. However, how did they go from a pretty lackluster team last season to Big 12 champions, with several All-American level wrestlers, and please note they almost have the exact same team as last year? Well, I am beyond excited to talk about it because I missed talking about Kevin Dresser's 200th duel win this season, so gosh dang it, I'll cover his team achievement right now. Also, for those of you who don't know, hi, my name is Tanner, and this is TrueTan Wrestling. The postseason of college wrestling is quickly approaching, so be sure to subscribe for all the awesome content coming. Also, if you are a fan of the Cyclones or the Big 12, or heck, wrestling in general, hit that like button and leave a comment in the comment section below while you're down there. I have made other content on Big 12 teams like Oklahoma State, so check those videos out if you haven't already. And I talked about that fight Iowa State got in with Iowa way back in the beginning of my channel. But alright, this video is all about the good with Iowa State, so let's just talk about it. Iowa State was a pretty okay team last year, going 9-3 in duels and finishing third in the Big 12 tournament behind Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, who tied for first. Last season was shortened, so there was only duels, so not a bad record by any means. However, they did wrestle a few Division 3 and Division 2 schools, I believe, so a few of those wins aren't to Division 1 opponents. They also did that a little bit this year, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Entering Nationals last season, they definitely had an interesting squad, and I say interesting because we really did not know what we were going to get. David Carr looked amazing, really increasing his bonus point percentage, but the best person he probably wrestled all last season was Franek in North Dakota State. Of course, David Carr would go on to win an NCAA title as a second-year freshman at 157, and he looked great doing it. Their other All-American came at heavyweight with Gannon Gremmel, who made the semis as the 6th seed, and then would fall down to take 5th, which is still outplacing his seed, which is very awesome for the senior. Also, I guess he transferred to Division 3 school Loras since he would technically still have eligibility because of last year, but I really haven't seen him wrestle yet, so he must be having issues with administration. I mean, this news did drop halfway through a semester, so who knows. But regardless, Iowa State would end up finishing 13th, just outside the top 10, but with 2 All-Americans, one of which being a national champ. The other guys didn't really do so hot, especially since we know their potentials. But last year was kind of a funky year, and injuries really hurt their team, and the entire year they were just throwing in different guys for every duel, it seemed like. With that said though, we jump to this season, and they basically have the same exact team, excluding previous mentioned Gremmel at heavyweight. He's gone, and he was replaced with Buffalo transfer Schuler, who is having a productive season for them, and longtime starter Colbray is gone at 184, but Marcus Coleman has bumped down to 184 to take that spot, and younger Bastida has been filling in at 197, and he's looking very nice, stacking up his resume very nicely. There are a few other minor changes, but could these bigger ones really make that much of a difference? Well, honestly, yes. For starters, I think all 10 of these guys have gotten better and better as the season has gone on and really made those mid-season adjustments, and they easily made some huge off-season improvements too. Terrakina at 125 wasn't even the starter for most of the season last year, and he came in as a 32 seed at Nationals going 0-2. This year, however, he is 17-3 with no real bad losses and several great wins. They also have Kabamban in at the wing at 125, who beat Brody Teske way earlier in the year, so they added some major depth here. Redding bumped up from 133 to 141 to give that weight some huge depth too, and at Soyev, the Russian wrestler, has been doing a really good job being the 133 starter this season. His best win is probably over Madrigal of Oklahoma in a 4-1 decision win. Parker also looks back to his true form at 141, and his only loss came at 149 to Max Murin of Iowa, and even that match was super close. If he keeps his weight under control, he is for sure back in the mix at this weight class. It also seemed the beginning of the year we had a semi-roster battle between Parker and Dagan. I thought because there was a few rumors circling that Parker was too big for 141, but I am glad he took his time and dropped back down to 141 because it easily made the team better, and Deegan looks like the better option at 149 anyway, and he has All-American before. His record is 16-3, which is promising for Iowa State fans. His losses are a little questionable, but the guys aren't really that bad in retrospect. David Carr is still doing David Carr things at 157, and I am praying to finally see a Deacon of Northwestern versus David Carr match at Nationals finally. The next 2 weights for Iowa State you could say are quote holes, but honestly I think they are both great options in my opinion. Judge at 165 is a battler, and I think he's getting pushed in the room by Campbell transfer Krazer, who I thought would be the starter entering this season, but but Judge must be winning the room battles. Stotts is also an alright option for them at 165, so they're very deep at this weight class. At 174, Divine has been the guy for them, and he might not have the best record, but he has some super quality wins over guys like Mantanona of Oklahoma and 9 of Purdue, who are both guys who have super impressive resumes despite their inconsistencies. 184 is a fun weight class for the Cyclones because we finally get to see the full potential of Marcus Coleman. He did recently get upset by Ken of Missouri after giving up a huge 6-point deficit early, but he has looked lights out besides that. He took out returning All-American Gear of Oklahoma State and won his match against Iowa, along with beating Venza Nebraska and being a really good wrestler in Samuelson of Wyoming. He has really built his resume at 184, and this is easily his best weight, and I'm really glad he dropped down with Colbray leaving because that opened up 197 for the Cuban star himself, Younger Bastida. Bastida I watched a little bit last season, and he was alright, I guess. He clearly had some stuff, but he really needed to adjust to folk style more and grow his game. However, this year, he looks great and kind of mastered his own style. I've really only seen him take bottom a handful of times, and he really has no top game, but honestly, his feet game is so good that he's just been winning off of that. Clearly at Nationals, this will be heavily scouted, but man, it clearly has been, especially against Missouri, and he came out with a huge win over there over Rocky Elam, and he was down 4-0 at one point. He has made some serious offseason adjustments on his feet, and I think he could escape from some lower level guys, so he's kind of working on his bottom skills, I guess, I hope, or something like that. He beat Warner way back in December, along with beating Rocky Elam, Missouri, like I mentioned earlier, and he's pushed Woodley and Buchanan in super tight matches, even though he lost those. He's easily right in the mix for the 197 field at Big 12s, and at Nationals, of course. Now, I've talked a little bit about Schuler in this video at heavyweight, but he was a nice transfer portal grab by Dresser. He was a national qualifier guy for Buffalo last season, and he has lost some matches this year, but if you watch him from the beginning of the year to how he's wrestling now in this season, he looks so much better, and I think he could seriously knock off someone he's not supposed to beat in March. And I think he's going to be a pretty high seed in Big 12s too with his resume, so he'll probably qualify again for the Cyclones. So clearly, Iowa State is a super fun team to watch, and they made some ever so slightly noticeable changes, but that captured them a Big 12 dual title. However, I mentioned earlier that they were pretty under the radar, but why exactly was that? Well, for starters, they only wrestled at Daktronics Open for their only tournament, which isn't the biggest known tournament, but honestly, normally the top 4 guys at that Open are pretty solid. I mean, at 157, we saw Carr versus Robb, and then at 184, we saw Venz versus Coleman, so starters are sent there, and there are some awesome matchups for sure. Throughout this season, they also had a few more Big 12 duels get canceled, and they added some more NAIA and JUCO schools onto their schedule again, which is a little odd, but I'm sure is a part of someone's plan or whatever, but who knows? I definitely don't. These wins really are only numbers on top of a record, and they don't really mean anything since they are different divisions, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. They also took that loss to Iowa way earlier in the year, which really wasn't that bad in my opinion. And then after that, they smoked past North Dakota State and Wyoming. But honestly, everyone probably just thought Oklahoma State was the top dog in the Big 12 because at the time, they were killing everyone. So it's very fair to think that. However, Iowa State's trip to Oklahoma changed it all within the Big 12. At the same time, Oklahoma State was taking their first upset loss of the season. Iowa State was beating down Oklahoma. And then the following day, they would knock off Oklahoma State. In my opinion, this is when their season really started to pick up, especially with their media hype. They just beat the best team in the conference, but their schedule was far from easy after this. They had UNI still, and there was some, quote, trash talking between Drescher and Schwab, but that was all fun. And then, of course, we still had very bonus point heavy Missouri to cap off their season. Also, I love these midweek duels, like the Missouri duel was on a Wednesday. That's awesome. Iowa State won both of these matches by 1 point. Yes, 1 point. Bastida would get the only bonus point win against UNI, along with Schuler being Isley to take it home in that duel. And even with Marcus Coleman losing to Kent during the Missouri match, Bastida once again pulled through, beating Rocky Elam in one of the craziest matches I saw at 197 this season, and that's honestly saying a lot. I'm obviously being very brief with these duels, but man, it was a team effort, and it's really awesome for Iowa State, the guys in the lineup, and of course the coaching staff, Dresser, St. John, and everyone's favorite coach, Brent Metcalf. Man, what a coaching staff, am I right? right? They can clearly develop guys and get them better and better in the offseason, and as the season goes on, showing the adjustments they are making throughout the year. Now, with all that said, do I think they can win the individual Big 12 tournament and crack into the top 10 at nationals? I do think this, but their luck obviously cannot run out just yet. Some of these guys like Terrakina at 125 and Dagan at 149 need to be placed just right in the bracket, or they might just be half-point scorers. They have locks like Coleman at 184 and Carr at 157 to score big points for them, and maybe in Bastida, but even with the wrong placement of him could either hurt or really favor him, considering how crazy 197 is. I am also really excited to see Ian Parker wrestle so well at 141, and I hope this is finally his year to All-American, even though that weight is super loaded, but hey, anything can happen in March. All in all, awesome for Iowa State, and awesome that you guys stuck around to the end of this video for so long. I really appreciate it. If you guys have your own thoughts or questions on this, feel free to send me a comment in the comment section below. I plan to cover the craziness from the NC State versus Virginia Tech match soon and shovel out a video to honor the dual portion of the schedule coming to a close, sadly. However, all that means is that conferences are right around the corner, so it can't be that sad, really. With all that said, I wish you all a great day, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, everybody.